Hey, what's up, guys? Towels here with another big update from the Project Diablo 2 Craft League. I'm shiny now! Man, oh man, oh man, I've been teasing this one for a while, but I finally completed my first ever Difficulty 2 Rathma. For those who don't know, Rathma is the newest boss fight in Project Diablo 2. Actually, I recently found out the lore behind Rathma as well. He was the first necromancer of Sanctuary and fell into darkness. Crazy. So the fight is nuts. I'll show some clips from the different stages with my usual breakdown and some insight with tips and tricks that I've learned as well as advice I've received from the community. I've done this fight on lower difficulties and even as early as Season 4, but that was always through luck and brute force essentially. So completing difficulty 2 this time really required a better understanding of the fight and I needed a lot of help. So yeah, first shout out to my friends list for keeping me motivated. Extreme, whom you may have seen in some of my other videos, last season went through a tough journey to get his aura on Wolfbarb and was a major inspiration for sure. EC Willie, Bargain Sir, Top Woogs, and Mac, all from Discord, gave me amazing advice every step of the way from gear to strategy, and definitely Callie from the Assassin chat for answering all my newbie Bladesin questions too. It took a village because I'm just that bad, but yeah, in the end, this noob got his kill and his first ever aura. So, each ladder, and also in this mini craft league, the first 3 players to kill Rathma on difficulty 2 receive an aura to display on their character. This is in addition to the declone difficulty 2 and level 99 auras, which are also given to the first 3 players for each of those. So here I am, shiny. Overall, this took roughly 100 tries in about 2 weeks actually, so I was very bad at this fight and new to Bladesin and desync, which you'll see later, so it was a huge and very frustrating learning curve. But first I'll show the clips and get into some of the advice I received along the way, and then I'll go over gear and stats with progression stories from the journey as well. So hope you like it. Alright, so starting with stage 1, this has actually become rather trivial to be honest. If you keep your butt pinned to this wall as much as possible, you will only have to deal with 2 spires, and you can force just a single blood golem to spawn, which you'll have to walk out to go kill that, but then you just return right back to this spot. I'm not sure why that is, this is definitely a cheesy strategy, but it lets me bring in half an inventory of rejuves to start the fight, so I'm all for it. I'm not being cocky, I'm just being cheap. It's just annoying to farm or buy rejuves. So EC Willie let me know about this strat when I was first starting the fight this season. I never knew how to force it. Even if all 4 golems spawn, don't bother taking them all out, honestly. They'll heal Mendeln a little bit, but you can make up the damage later. It doesn't cause extra phases or anything. Mendeln does this sequence of attacks from the center of the map in phases between the blood golem phases. So the things to watch out for are 1, the Poison Sludge Nova, and then 2, the Poison Nova, which looks just like the Necromancer spell, Poison Nova. The Sludge Nova is unavoidable unless you are standing inside the initial circle, and it can also sometimes hit twice at one time, so that really hurts at that point. Standing still seems to help avoid the double hit from time to time, but just be ready to pot if you are expecting to get hit by it. And then most importantly, the Poison Nova. So when you get hit by this, you must use an antidote potion or you will see essentially unlimited poison damage no matter your stats. So save your antidotes for this and only this. Last piece of advice related to this stage actually comes straight from Senpai Something, and I'll quote him from the low-level dueling tournament in Season 8, where somebody asked him about the Mendeln fight, and his response to adding maximum cold res to your build was to get good. So his advice was to not use Ohm runes or anything to up your maximum cold res, which does seem like the right strategy. So you need those slots for actually max fire res, which we'll talk about in a little bit more. But essentially, being able to dodge those spires is what you got to be able to do. So definitely take that advice to heart and see what you can do without it. So here in stage 2, you're going to be fighting Rathma for the first time, and he's got a series of different attacks, a variety of them anyway, and the only one to really watch out for is going to be the Bone Spear, which hits like a truck, but it does have a warning sound essentially most of the time. Sometimes it can be silent but deadly, but you're usually able to see it coming. The other ones are essentially chip damage, which you'll mostly just have to take, and then just try not to stand in the blue fire for too long, because that can hurt. The main difficulty is going to come from the Void Knights. So these spawn in 3 different waves. So you get 4 in the first, then 5, and then 6. So this part is extremely dangerous, as they all hit hard and cast pretty fast. So when you're surrounded like that, it gets hectic. This is where the bulk of the advice I needed first started kicking in, including gearing for damage to undead. Thank you, Bargain Sir, for showing me your claw that is absolutely insane, and essentially got him the kill like day 4 or something like that on difficulty 2, which is just nuts to imagine. So yeah, it's a real doozy looking to dodge and fight back while all these enemies are around, because Rathma is still sending his attacks at this time too, including the Bone Spear. But actually the most dangerous one in my opinion is the Bone Prison. So stopping you in your tracks can turn deadly very quickly, so your reaction time on breaking the cage is important. With Blade Sin and Quick Cast, I just need to tap attack 2 to 3 times, but for example, if I'm in the middle of refilling my belt, it's extra tough because you gotta be able to react. So another tip here is to cast a Shadow Warrior just to take their attention for even a second is very helpful here. So thank you, Top Lukes, for that tip as well. Also want to talk a little bit about desync. So you'll see some examples here where it looks like I have these random teleports. So that's actually desync between what's on graphically showing and what the server knows as your position. So that's going to happen apparently with Blade Sin and also with like Charge Paladin, maybe some other classes as well. But it's really noticeable here because you're trying to concentrate really hard on your positioning and things. But as you get used to it, you can also bind the resync button to a key, and so I've put that on my spacebar just for easy access to it when I notice that things are a little out of place. During this point, you also want to be on the lookout for safe spots in the map. So it's not big, so there's not a lot of options, and sometimes there just aren't any. But if the knights are all spread out, it can be tough, and you just need to stand and fight and eat some juves at some points. But during that, you still need to keep an eye and ear out for Rathma, because you can hear the Bone Spears coming most of the time. Again, but I'll go over this in phase 3, but other things to watch out for are the Conjured Souls, who cast Fissure and have massive fire damage, as well as Rathma's Telestomp when you're in a cage, which she seems to love to do. So take advantage of any breaks you may get as well, like this one where he's on the other side of the map and doesn't see me, so you get a quick reprieve, so take a deep breath, refill your pots, and reapply your buffs, and take advantage of it because they don't always happen. Okay, stage 3. Oh boy, don't panic. That's huge, but also the most important advice I think that I got was the hardest in practice as well. So control the pace of the fight. This is what Top Boots told me, and he's one of the best bossers we've got in this game, and so he gave me this advice, and it took a lot of attempts for it to really start sinking in. When you are dodging, you are playing defensively, and you need to be able to transition to offense seamlessly. This means dodging efficiently as well without overreacting, and looking for good offensive and defensive positioning, which is something BC Willie mentioned early on and just never really sunk in for me. But you do want to hit like multiple Void Knights at one time when you can, but also want to stay out of range of some whenever possible, as well as using that Shadow Warrior as a distraction. Really helpful. So in this stage, there is a lot of chip damage that's going to chip away at your health, and it's unavoidable during the fight. Like, you just gotta let those hit you and don't let it bother you, right? So keep an eye on your health pool and try not to waste rejuves. So at 50% HP, you can still survive a number of chips. But if you see a big attack coming, like Bone Spears or that Poison Sludge, which you may not be able to step inside of to avoid, at that point you'll want to mod, right? It takes a second or two to expand that Poison Sludge anyway, so you'll see it coming as well. also, with practice, you'll get a feel for when the phases are coming. So for example, when Mendeln phases into the same series of attacks that he does in stage 1, he does that from the middle of the map, right? And that ends with the Poison Nova, right? So for that, you're going to want to Antidote, and while he's standing there in the middle, he's really easy to attack. But one thing to note is that if you burst him down while he's doing that, you'll very likely spawn the Void Knights also. So that gets pretty hectic with all of that happening at once, so do that at your own risk. When you do anticipate that the Void Knights are going to spawn soon, then you really want to take that time to, before it happens, to fill up your rejuve pots, because again, that is just by far the most dangerous spot, right? And again, you're going to try to use your spacing around the map to try to look for kind of safer areas where you can actually get a few attacks in while you're kiting, and again, just looking out for that prison bone cage that will stop you in your tracks. So all of that said, you try to get your shots in, and try to avoid as much damage as possible, and just try to keep calm during all of it as well. Yeah, so by the end of the third wave of Void Knights, I started realizing that this might be the one. I definitely got nervous again, and you'll see here I don't dodge this poison sludge, even though I could have easily stepped inside of it. And then I eat a few unnecessary bone spears and spend some time on these conjured souls as well. But yeah, just seeing their low health and the pots remaining in my belt, I got really excited. I had reached this point a few different times before, but had always only had one or maybe two full rejuves before, and that happened good 7 or 8 times that I was that close and still failed. So definitely got nervous at this point, but I knew I could do it. I finished with 5 rejuves left. Anyway, here's the final blow, and that's me not picking up the Tainted World Stone Shard. Idiot. Alright, so Here, I'm finally going to be able to show off the gear that I've collected for this build. I've been really wanting to show this all off, but it just took me so long to complete the fight. So to start off, I've got my main hand claw here, which is a vampiric craft, based on basically Bargain Sir's advice, looking for plus skills, as well as focusing really on Fool's mod, as well as damage to undead. So damage to undead comes as an auto mod with the vampiric craft. So it comes with like roughly about 100% on that. You can roll another mod on it on top. So his claw actually has like 300% damage to undead, which is really insane, and does a great job just annihilating those Void Knights because they are undead. Rathma and Mendeln themselves are not marked as undead, but those Void Knights in that really tricky spot are. And so that helps to beat the toughest part of it basically. And then Fool's mod. So Fool's mod is really great. You see 1.5k attack rating based on character level, which is essentially just an AR fix that means you don't really have to worry about it the rest of the way, right? So with that is 20k. It's really hard to see the actual values in your tooltips and stuff with Assassin, and so just showing like some of this in action here, it it randomly jumps around, but that'll be based on kind of like what is your main hand, and you can see as I have my main hand equipped here, it is showing like the full deadly strike, the full attack rating and everything, and it still is my main hand even when I put this on, but the tooltip is just behaving really strangely here. One thing to note though, I did mess up for a good 4 or 5 days, so probably like 20 attempts without realizing this, is that I upgraded my main hand to the exceptional version, and now the required dexterity and strength became 82 and 82. So you can see the normal version of the scissors guitar has 55 and 55, right? So on my offhand, it's still at its normal version because you don't need to upgrade it for damage or anything. And what I did, which was a huge mistake, was I added strength and dexterity jewels to it. So you can see 6 strength and 8 dexterity down at the bottom. I was depending on those stats to be able to equip my main hand because I wanted to save the like 40 or so HP that it would save me. However, because I was relying on those stats, my main hand was never allowed to be my main hand. So then the stats that you see on the page now, 7 deadly strike, right? Attack rating of only like 5 or 6k, like those were the ones that were applying. And so I was really struggling and ready to quit for a good part of that week, basically, just not understanding what was going on until I asked in Assassin chat, and Callie and Top Woogs, like they held me out, dug me out of that hole, and then made it possible again. And that was just about like 2-3 days ago, I think. And so now I've got it. Moving on to the rest of the gear, I have this absolutely sick Rathma armor as well. This was sort of a gift from Empty Folder. We were kind of just gifting each other a bunch of stuff as new friends at the beginning of this league. So really amazing here. 107 enhanced damage, 2 open sockets for that jaw and that gull, but it's also got 75 poison res. So it had the 5 poison res, 5 max poison res and 15 poison resist slam on it as well. So you can see it's got amazing stats. The 75 PLR, absolutely huge for this fight because poison length reduction is essentially the same as damage taken reduced. It just works differently for poison, but basically you start at a 200% poison length in hell, and it can go down as low as 25. And that's something you definitely want to do for this fight. So it's basically, again, just think of it as PDR for poison damage, and that's about what it does. So that plus your maximum poison res, you want to get it as close to 90 as you can. In my build, I just went with 89 because it was enough really for the fight, and then that'll let you kind of be able to get through stages 1 and also Mendeln's damage in stage 3 pretty well. So the next thing I want to go over is this amulet, which is absolutely insane. So plus 2 to assassin skills, 55 life, 11 dexterity helps a lot, but oh my goodness, that 2 max all res slam plus another 50 poison length reduced. This is the most insane bossing amulet I've really ever seen. So I'm so happy I was able to buy this. It was basically through a friend connection as well. So Clap on my list, huge shout out to him. He's an absolute legend. Loves pushing 99 and runs some really insane EXP maps. So if you're lucky enough to join some of those, They do an awesome job. That whole crew's basically all got auras by now for being some of the first 99s in this season also. It quickly showed this offhand also, but it's essentially just 5 to Blade Sentinel. I did manage to hit the 36 IAS slam on it, which is super rare. 30 to 40 IAS is a rare slam. The more common one only caps at like 20 IAS, so really cool to see that there, plus the 2 open sockets, which I've got 28 all res and some stats from the jewels in it. So this circlet I've got is also 2 to assassin skills, 30 faster run walk. I love that part of it. Also slammed with cannot be frozen and socketed for 2. So the 2 Vex runes in here are really to deal with the Conjured Souls, because their Fissure attack does a ton of fire damage and can easily put you into faster hit recovery. So stunning you even just for a second along the way can be really, really bad during that fight. So it's good to have your max fire res up as well. 85 max fire res even is kind of low compared to what some folks have, up like 87 or maybe even 90 for this fight. So these gloves that I mentioned are also for weapon block with the faster block rate. So weapon block does a really great job of parrying, in addition to melee and range attacks, also blocks spells. So Poison Nova, Bone Spear, all of the worst things can be blocked by weapon block, which is truly incredible. And it also comes with some faster block rate on it. So Assassin faster block rate frames, I was looking for 32 as the breakpoint for that, and so I needed the gloves here, which also have an amazing amount of resists and deadly strike. So really cool to have all that. Even FCR is my only FCR I've got on it, and so for casting Shadow Warrior when I need it, really helpful there too. Some rings that I've got are basically just stats, life, res, and poison length reduced. This one is a Vampiric Craft, which comes with PLR, so that's really nice there. My belt, I opted for not using a max all res slam belt, and that's essentially why I have 89 poison res instead of 90. But with this, I get FHR, ton of life, and the resists that I need, so definitely good enough in my book. And then these boots, 30 faster run walk with max poison res slam on them, plus cold and lightning res, again, just to get all of my numbers up to the numbers that they need to be. In my charms inventory, I've got mostly life and res small charms, a 2 skill Annie that I slammed myself, this assassin torch, it's pretty nice, and then this 12 faster hit recovery and 14 all res grand charm that I found myself, really, really cool there. And then I bought a bunch of nice trap charms as well. They were really expensive, but my book just totally worth it. Yep, and so on my breakpoints, you can see I've got 10 faster cast, 48 FHR. Run walk at 60 is really nice. Oh, my IAS at 36. So it is a fast base at minus 10 to start, and then the 36 IAS on it also really helps because I've got 12 points into burst of speed for my increased attack speed, and what that lets me do is, even though IAS frames, like, it's really easy to get max frames with your trap laying speed for Blade Sentinel, it's really easy to reach it, but then once you have Decrepify, you actually need to overcap, and so that's what I calculated to be 12 points into burst of speed, as well as this 36 IAS slams on here, makes that all work. So the IAS attack speed calculator that a lot of folks use, it's pinned in the Discord. If you don't know it, I can share a link to it, but that actually also has a checkbox for Decrepify, so thank you, Bargain Sir, for pointing that out for me as well. That's a lesson learned and something I'll definitely be taking advantage of and using again in the future. Yep, and so that's all I had to cover, really. Again, this was such a huge fight, such a huge goal of mine, and really, really tough journey to get here, so I am very, very proud. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Senpai did actually drop a new update as well, so kind of a teaser for Season 9. I know a lot of folks are really looking forward to more information on that, and so we'll have a developer stream and all that, so check the Discord, check the Reddit, look for that announcement for more information on that, and hopefully you guys are still enjoying the Craft League. If not, and you're looking forward to Season 9, then I'll see you all there. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked and subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.